Hello, welcome back. This is Sexy Neckbeard. This will be episode 2 of my Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. Today I promised I would be going more into the detail of vehicles and airplanes. What's the idea for this? Like, what's my objective? My idea is if I actually land somebody from space and they don't land in the sea and they also don't land near the center, I want some means of going in and picking them up and then also bringing them back to the station. All I need to do is go and pick them up, but like for my own role-playing and for my own satisfaction, it'd be nice to be able to get them home too. That requires kind of a large fuel tank, so what I'll show you is just I just experimented with an idea. I was just like, I've never done this, I should practice once before I show people. So I'll just show you briefly what I did. Well, we'll get to it. I decided to make an unmanned like airplane, and the reason why is I wanted to have this autonomous so it can go and pick up a Kerman anywhere. So part of the challenge with that was that I would need it to be autonomous but also have a cockpit. So now we add an adapter. So this is what the nose of my aircraft is going to look like. Not an elegant design. None of my design look good. They're not pretty. You don't like get overwhelmed by the amazing engineering that goes into them, unfortunately. But that's okay. Function over form, I guess. So create three of these, I think, or just 2. Okay, we rotate objects. I don't know if I told you this before, but WASD, Q, R. So that's how you get objects to rotate to the position you want. Now, this is where I went to the aerodynamics part, and there's a lot of things here, right? We have canards, however you say it, delta wing, structural wing, wing connector, swept wing. There's just so many things you could do that I was a bit overwhelmed, and I decided I'm just going to do them all. And I really did it. So, well, first let's turn on symmetry mode. Okay, so I just decided to add a bunch of wings everywhere. Oh, I can see that I definitely need 3. Okay. Okay, so we have 2. We're going to need another wing. Alright. As long as I get symmetry, this is what I want. Okay, great. So another structural wing here. And you can kind of see what I ended up designing was just very much a huge wing. A flying wing, really. That's all it is. A huge flying wing. And I even ended up making this, yeah, crazier by extending it. This wasn't in my first design. This is in only my second. But, so I made the wing even longer. And doing this, I should say, had some serious negative effects. If I was to redo it, which I'm not going to, I might consider just this initial wing design, which worked very nicely because it behaved more like a glider. So, yeah, what is the advantage of doing it this way? Is that this wing ended up being able to glide at basically 50 miles per hour, like 20 meters per second. It could just hover. It's pretty amazing. So we have a tail, we put our small control surface up. Okay, so what we have right now, I've shown you all the makings for a plane. The only thing we need is, okay, we need a control surface. I'm using middle mouse button to drag around, and right click is to rotate. Okay, there. Okay, good. So now we have some basic design, and I'll just show you briefly how I did the engine. So you can see here it's facing the wrong way. Up arrow makes it face the right way. This needs an intake. In fact, those two intakes are not sufficient. And then the final decision you make is basic jet engine now has power 150, but notice the ISP at sea level and vacuum is 2000, 1000. Now we go over to our turbojet, and it has 225 power, so you might be tempted to grab this one. But notice the ISP is 800 and 1200. So what you have here is just a much less efficient engine, unless you're using this to get into the vacuum. You can use this like in space, which is really not advisable for the basic engine. But the fuel cost is enormous just to get off, to take off, etc. And I found that these two engines, I ran them at about 33% just to get maximum fuel efficiency, and I was still moving at about 350 miles per hour. So it was about 500 kilometers per hour. For any European viewers I may have. Let's just call this delete me because it's a real quick test for you guys. And just real briefly, I need landing gear. Landing gear is also pretty hard to put on. Not when you do it this way, but for example, when you want something under the wing, it gets pretty difficult. So I'm just gonna hopefully make this stable so that I can really quickly give you guys a demonstration of what it does. Now, what this one is missing, which my very first model was missing, is any battery packs for this, but let's just say who cares, and let's launch. Then I can figure out what this ISP stands for too. I forgot what this ISP stands for. Specific impulse. Okay. Great. Yeah. Oh, so there it goes. We'll just immediately cancel everything. Okay, great. So right now I'm going to lapse into some videos of my actual other designs now. So this episode 2 will be like a compilation of various space planes that I've created, and my idea is just to give people some design guidelines. This works, for example, but if you want to do your own thing, what are like some good guidelines to follow? Hey guys, I just I'm in the middle of some tomfoolery here, and I created a wing which it flies itself, as we can see from the probe in the front. Not enough electrical charge, so you can see I press keys and nothing is happening in the bottom left. So this thing has literally been airborne for about 5 minutes. Looks like I'm about to bring it all to a quick end here when I hit this building, but please don't hit the building. Survive. You can do it. No. Oh, you might live. Oh, man. Well, that's sad. The damn thing ran out of energy, and it coasted down to 10 meters a second. The thing is basically a glider, so I thought if this ends up being something funny I can throw in, I'll do it. But well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Okay, here we go. So I'm back. I've made some changes. The last one was it was really remarkable that this design worked out. We had it gliding at about 20 meters per second and really barely even losing altitude. It was remarkable. It was up in the air for a long time. So the main problem was, yes, I wasn't able to control it because I added solar panels, but I didn't have a battery. And I don't know why, but that wasn't my probodyne. Anyways, well, it's all working now, so let's see how it goes. So, away we go. I actually managed to get all the landing gear at the same level this time. This thing flies, I have to say, remarkably well. Which you completely can tell from this, but here we go. I guess it nosedives a little too quickly. This guy is a crazy little beast to fly. I should say that the design just looks really ridiculous. It does not look like it should fly. It does. There's some debris here. Previous crash, yeah. I mean, you can see I basically just have to constantly press up. And pressing up actually still works. Although it wants to dip down constantly. I don't know if that's because of the engine replacement. The center of mass is too far forward. So anyways, I'll show you here. It should work. I can actually land with this thing. I should have killed power a long time. So the great thing about this thing, I think, potentially, is that I can glide for long distances. Look at this thing. I've never seen a plane in real life land that gracefully and come to a halt. So I don't know what to do. I'm reluctant to even change anything just because this was just luck that it worked like this. Alright, here we are back in the design view, and this is just the delete me. This isn't actually the ugly shark that was in the previous video. I decided for naming schemes, if I'm using land animals for my spaceships, I'm going to use some sea animals or sea creatures of some kind. So this one, because it is ugly, I call it the ugly shark. Now this is just the delete me version. I actually deleted the previous version of the ugly shark while I was making fixes to it. So, but we can get back to it just by adding these swept wings and something like this. There we go. So this is more or less what we have in the other video. Now what I want you to notice, the reason why there was such heavy nose fall is that, imagining for a second that the lift is in center with the center of mass, because I haven't adjusted that. The main difference that I want to point out is my center of thrust is much higher than my center of gravity. So you can see that although the thrust pushes this way, it pushes down on the nose of the on the nose of the aircraft. So this is what is causing my nose to fall when I'm under power. And that also explains why, even if my center of lift is much in front of the mass, I have nose fall under power, and then when I turn off the engines, my nose rises. So that's what we would expect from this. And although this is called delete me, let's switch now. I only have the latest version of the ugly shark. So let's go to the ugly shark. Okay, the ugly shark. So you can see you will see more of this craft in a moment when we actually take it out for its maiden voyage. But what do I want? I want to show the center of mass and the center lift. So now we can see that they are not exactly on. They are just slightly off. But the difference here is night and day between the Delete Me or the previous version of the Ugly Shark. Also, you can see that for these actual airplanes that are not just Delete Me mock quick drawings, my center of mass and my lift are about equal. So this is what I want. So now let's give this guy a chance to fly, and then we'll see how he performs on a long distance. Okay. This will be my last test before I basically call this project complete, and then I guess what I'll do is I'll time-lapse this video, or I'll cut or something, and I'm actually going to see how far it flies before I need to return. Oh, I forgot to mention there's a... Oh, that's my... Yeah, I noticed this in the radar station where you can see there is a flying turtle left part of itself up in space, and it is orbiting still. I think this is the main engine body that I thought was going to come crashing down, and it just didn't. So we'll see how that works out. It might be low enough in the atmosphere that it will once again slow down every time and maybe crash, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get to the main show, the main event, which is an autonomous aircraft ready to go pick up people, and this is what the engine's moved in. I like it better already. Now when I hit, nah, it doesn't. It has the same effect. Oh. Okay, well at least it looks nicer. So we'll leave the Mark IV. I think it's ideal as a Kerbal recovery. And now what to do? I want to head north. Let's head north. Let's just head to the North Pole. Okay, good. And let's see if that's possible. I saw this on I forget the person's Let's Play, but I followed his. It's very interesting. It's nice to follow somebody else's. I wonder if there is... Okay, well that is very... Let's see if this SAS works. Okay, so that means that I think, despite this weird shuffling of the wings constantly, it looks like this amount of throttle, which is only using a very light amount of liquid fuel, should be enough. So I'm going to just time-lapse this, which I can't do for myself, but I will see if... Well, I'm decreasing altitude, so let's make sure that I gain enough altitude first. And I'll basically cut out of this video or something and cut back when I actually make it to the North Pole, if I make it to the North Pole. Or if anything exciting happens in the meantime, then of course I will cut back in and we'll see what happened. So, be right back. Hi guys, I'm going to draw your attention back here. I just think this is really beautiful. I think it's not real. But here I am, about maybe a third the way to the North Pole, and I have this really beautiful the night time is coming. So I have the sun somewhere to my left, and I have the night approaching in front of me, and to the right it's already dark. And it's really quite beautiful. I'm about 3 kilometers up, so it's about maybe 10,000 feet or so. Since I'm under 3 kilometers, it's probably closer to 8,000 feet. Lower than commercial jets fly, but still higher than you would take like a normal single engine plane. I'm very comfortable at this level. I was up at 5 kilometers earlier, which is still much lower, about half the height of commercial jets, but I know that these engines, they have their specific impulse is best at lower atmosphere when you have thicker air. So the max is 2,000, and I'm still right in that, really. Let's take a quick view of things on the map while we have a moment. Just engage this very finicky SAS. And we can see that I am actually probably about halfway there, maybe even more than halfway there. We still have this flying turtle thing orbiting. It made it through again, another close atmosphere. And maybe I'm just a third, yeah, maybe I'm just a third. We can see I've only burned, maybe 15% of my fuel. And considering I've gone a third of the way there, my ambition now is to go to the North Pole and then also return. How is this possible? Well, besides the fact that I have 3 fuel things, and that I'm a huge flying wing, which happens to be very efficient, I'm also trying to fly at the appropriate height so that my engines have their high specific impulse. And I'm also trying to limit my throttle. You're more efficient at lower speeds due because drag always has a stronger force when the faster you move. So the slower you move, the less it's restricting you. So I'm just going to keep this very low engine throttle, which does mean that yes, it's taking ages in game for me to move anywhere. But I just have a video up on my second monitor, and I'm happy to just do this, and we'll see. Okay, the first thing I should say is don't ever do this. It's very long and very boring, and what I should have done is tried to fly to the South Pole. Okay, welcome back. I have some exciting news. I just passed the North Pole. So, we've done it. And I can prove that by now that, first of all, you can see now the fact is I haven't done any course correction, but I'm heading south. And I can just fly right back over it, which will be probably even better proof. Problem is, I still have a terrible nose rise. What I plan on doing is just heading, maybe landing. Maybe let's land. Let's put our gear down and just go for it. We want to head north, I guess. So which way is north? I guess this is north. Funny thing is, from the sky you could actually see it. from this map, you can actually, oh yeah, I'm basically right on it, as you can see obliquely. So we need to get down in a hurry, which I should say I'm usually pretty good at doing. So you can see the north is just all over the place, probably because we're on top of it. Yeah, we just passed it. Okay, good. So let's just land somewhere in this direction then. it's good now that I have nose rise because it can be pretty difficult to land. And I'm glad that at a moment's notice, I can just let go of everything or pull up very sharply. So I'm suspecting it's going to be at about 80 meters, maybe 100. Oh, we can see it. We're close. We're close. I was not right about 80 or 100. It might be closer to 40 in the end. Okay, just bring her down nice and slow. There we go. Apply the brakes. And we've done it. We have landed on the North Pole. Well, our trip to the North Pole is a success, and now we find ourselves back. So here's the ugly shark, victorious in its journey. One thing I even want to mention, a real shortcoming on that trip, which kind of didn't show off the full capabilities of the ugly shark, is just like this flying turtle debris has a curve. While I was traveling, my aircraft had a curve. So I left from here and I went straight north for a while. But my curve was not straight north. And after some amount of time I became delirious and I just started guessing that that was my actual trajectory. So I decided to compensate from this by heading northwest, which I assumed would be north. This was completely wrong, and you guys didn't see it, although the footage exists if anybody wants me to post the video. I actually went almost like a third of the world around to here, and I made my approach over mountains. This is all stuff I put together kind of after the fact, or right about here I was starting to realize something was wrong, since I was no longer in the north-south plane of where I originally departed from. So anyways, long story short, trust that north is north on your compass. Don't be fooled inside the atmosphere by your apoapsis curve. It's meaningless. And last thing I want to mention is I will be doing another episode still on vehicles. It'll be a really short one, probably 10 minutes. And basically it's to cover the other vehicles I kind of fooled around with, like the Debris Maker, Destroyer of Worlds, and my personal favorite, the Drunken Squid. That'll probably be a short, fun episode, and then episode 4 I will really begin building my space empire by putting a satellite in orbit. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching once again.